Hey, what's going on? Pat McLaughlin here from DrumlineChops.com, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to change a marching snare drum head. Alright, so to change a marching snare drum head, all you really need are two things. First, you need an extra drum head, obviously. The second thing you need is one of these T keys, right? This is the same size as a regular drum key, but you have this extended handle up here that gives you the extra leverage you need for these high tension drums, right? I highly suggest that you do not try doing this with a regular drum key, right? It will probably be a miserable experience and you'll probably break the drum key in the process and it won't be fun for anybody, right? So spend the 13 bucks or whatever these cost to go online and get one, or go to your local drum store and get one, because it'll make your life way easier, okay? So once you've got one of these and your extra drum head, you're ready to start. Now, one little trick that I like to do is I always start with the tension rod closest to me and on the left. So if I'm on this side of the drum, then I start with this guy right here. If I'm teaching and I'm on the other side of the drum, then I start with this guy right here. Okay, again, the two closest to me, the one on the left. Right? Now the reason I do that is just, it's a habit that I've gotten myself into so that I can kind of make it into a semi-mindless process, right? Because what tends to happen is you start, you get going around, you go around a couple times, and then you realize, you're getting close to the tension and the pitch that you want, but you don't remember which tension rod you started on, so you could be like halfway across the drum and leave out half the tension rods for that last little rotation, okay? So that's just a little trick that I do. You can definitely apply it if you want, but it's not the end of the world. If you don't, you just need to pay attention to which tension rod you start on, okay? So I'm going to start on this back left tension rod, and I'm just going to loosen it 1/4 turn. All right, you don't want to like sit here on this one lug and or this one tension rod and loosen it all the way up. Okay, bad idea. Don't do it. Okay, so 1/4 turn. All you're going to do then is go straight across the drum to the opposite tension rod. All right, and you're going to give that a 1/4 turn. Right. The reason we're going across is because then you start to evenly distribute or evenly reduce the tension across the head and the rim. All right. If I were to start here and go around this way, then what happens is this side of the rim ends up being slightly looser and higher than this side of the rim, okay? And if you get a little bit too extreme with it, then you can cause that difference to be even more exaggerated, and then you put a whole lot of unwanted tension across the rim. You can actually bend it, right? Even if you don't permanently bend it the first time you do it, if you do that over the course of the rim's life, you can significantly weaken the integrity of the rim, and it can eventually crack, and nobody wants a cracked rim. Alright? So, turn this to the left, then you go to the next one over, right? 1/4 turn, and then straight across. Alright? Get that done. Next one over, 1/4 turn, straight across. Next one over, 1/4 turn, and then straight across. Alright? So you basically just keep doing this process until you get all the way around, right? And you're back to square one, okay? And then you just keep going around and around and around until all the tension rods are loose. All right, so once you've loosened up all these tension rods, they're all out of the lug casings, you're simply gonna lift up from underneath the rim and the head, okay? And you're gonna lift those up, simply put your hand underneath the head and one on top of the rim, okay? And just separate the two, all right? And then you no longer need this head. It's an old head, okay? So get rid of that, and then you'll notice that there's probably a bunch of junk around here, okay? Just old pieces of stick tape or chipped off pieces of wood from the stick, dust, dirt, right? Whatever else is falling in there. So one thing that I like to do really quick anytime I change a head is just grab an old rag, okay, and wipe this down, right? And really, make sure there's no extra particles or anything hanging around there. And then I also like to take it inside the rim, okay? So you can typically do it from the outside here, so you don't have to worry about the tension rods falling out. And just make sure you get underneath that little lip in there, which is where all the particles like to settle and whatnot between the rim and the head. Okay, so once you've done that, you are going to grab your new head. Alright, and you're simply going to take it and you're going to place it on top of the drum like so. Alright, now this is where you need to decide how you want it to look. Okay, every single drum manufacturer has a logo on the head. Okay, and you want to make sure that all the heads in your line are similar. Alright, unless that's not your thing, you want them all to look different, but it looks really good if they're similar, so I suggest you do that. Alright, so a lot of people will either put the logo in the front or close to the performer, alright, towards the back. Okay, it's a personal preference. I tend to put mine towards the front and I center them between the first two lug casings up here. Alright, so you just want to kind of glance and look at the lug casings, center a logo there, and then that's good to go. Right? Next thing you're going to do is take the rim again, and you're going to set it on top. Okay? And if you can remember where it was when you took it off, it's always just a good idea to kind of put it back in the same spot. Alright? So, you do that, and you kind of let it fall naturally into place. Sometimes you got to realign these tension rods one at a time to get that to happen. Okay? So once it's there, that's the initial process. Now, the other little trick that I like to do, and this isn't necessary, but it does help for the longevity of the instrument. Okay? This is just called white lithium grease. You can go to any home improvement store, anything like that, pick it up. Right? And what I like to do is simply take the tension rods, okay, one at a time, and just kind of dip it in the front, okay, or dip the bottom of it in here, right? So you just add a little bit, you probably can't see it from there, but you just add a little bit of the grease to the very bottom of the tension rod, right? And then you carefully slip it back down and gently just finger tighten it until it's starting to thread in there, right? All this does is makes the thread of the tension rod and the thread of the lug casing glide around smoother, right? With all the tension on these casings and the tension rods, it gets very easy, it becomes easy for the lug casings to actually strip, right? So this just keeps things moving nice and smooth, prevents anything from kind of gridlocking or different particles getting in there and causing damage to the actual thread of the tension rod or the casing, right? So again, it's just white lithium grease. Go over, pick up the tension rod, kind of dip it in the top there, and then put it back in and thread it with your fingers until it gets started. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing that all the way around, and then join back up with you. All right, so once you've put a little bit of grease on the bottom of each tension rod and you've finger tightened all of the tension rods so that they're just touching the rim, you want to make sure that you don't have really any odd crinkles or creases in the head. Okay, and if you do, just give a little extra love to some of those tension rods in the surrounding area to try to smooth those out at a very, very loose tension. All right. So then, once you get to that point, the next thing you're going to do is pick the T key back up, and you're just going to go through the opposite process of loosening the head. Okay, you're going to start on one tension rod, give it a quarter turn, and then go across to the next one, across to the next one, across to the next one, and so on. All right, and you're going to do this just over and over again until the tension rods really start to maintain a specific amount of tension. All right, you'll notice that some of them may feel a little bit tighter, but then by the time you get to it, the next one's really loose, and well, not super loose, but a little bit loose, and takes a good half of that quarter turn to feel some resistance on it. All right, so once you get to a point where you feel resistance from the beginning, that's when you know you're really starting to pick up the tension and things are starting to get a little serious. Right? So keep doing that until you get to that point. I'll pick you back up when you get there. Alright, so I want to point this out really quick. After you've been tuning a little bit at the lower tension, okay, you want to get it to a point where all the tension rods are a similar pitch. Right? So if I go around now, after I spend some time evening these guys out, you'll hear they're all in the same range, right? Okay, so they're all pretty close. Now, one thing that you want to pay attention as you do this is that you're striking and playing the drum about an inch or an inch and a half away from the tension rod, and you're doing that consistently. Okay, if I play very close to the rim out on this one, and then really far in from the tension rod on this one, that's hard to tune, right? So you got to make sure that you're consistent with your playing area as you do this, right? Now, once you get to a point where we're at right now with this head, where they're all pretty close, okay, you're going to go back to just the straight tuning process, or the tension raising process, okay? So I'm going to start here, go straight across, quarter turn, alright? And I'm just going to do this 2 to 3 times around to raise the tension a little bit, alright? So notice I'm not checking the head in between each one. I'm just going straight around to raise the entire tension of the head, alright? So once you've done that, and you get to that point, you can go around a couple more times just to raise the head, and then once you get there, then go through the tuning process again, right? Then kind of fine tune each of the tension rods and level out the pitch of the head to be the same again, okay? So once I get there, I'll bring it back in. Alright, so I've brought the tension of the head up a decent amount, right? And now it's at a low to moderate tension, okay? It's not super low, it's not a brand new head, but it's not cranked up super high either, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit for a while, for a couple hours, just to settle in a little bit, and then I'm going to have the student play on it for, you know, a little bit of time, right? And what that does is it allows the head to settle in against the bearing edge as well as within the rim, right? And after the head is played on for you know, half an hour, I'll give it another round of cranking, and then continue to ease it in that way, right? And it'll be a full like day or two before you know, the head is actually at full tension, right? Obviously, if you're in a crunch for time and you need to do this as fast as possible right before a show or something, you got to do what you got to do, right? But if you have the time to spare, it does add a little bit of longevity to the heads if you ease them into it, and it also ensures that everything settles a little bit more easily, and you can get your tuning down a little bit more accurately by doing it that way. All right? So that's how you change a drum head. I hope that this tutorial, this video, this lesson, whatever you want to call it, was helpful. If it was, be sure to head over to drumlinechops.com and find other ways to help you improve your rudimental drumming or your teaching of a drumline. Okay? That's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you over on drumlinechops.com.